Did you just say tomato?
I did, yeah.
You have been living outside the Americas for a bit. Bro, bruh.
But that's what I think about it. And when I mean, I'm on a adult it's this Facebook group, Midlife Cellist, and it's just funny watching the comments and perving on the comments. Every now and then I'll throw something out there, and there's this one guy, and he teaches and he performs and stuff, and he is so direct and cutting with his comments about stuff. Like somebody's like, "Oh, I've been working on Prelude and G, and I'm doing this," and then he'll say, "That's not a beginner piece." Right? And, that's it. It's like, and you're like, way to crush people's dreams, man. I mean, maybe it's
Yep,
like
yep.
you're viewing it as the equivalent. I'm going to go to the Olympics and I'm going to win my gold medal. Maybe that's what it is, but let them dream a little.
Don't crush your adult learners. So, or all any of your learners. Don't crush anyone's learners. Yeah.
Well, the adult learner is taking their time and their money to try to get better at this thing. So they have some sort of passion, you know. And as bad as we are, you can smell the money too, right? So keep them learning.
It's wrong. One thing you brought up is the fact that we are finding flaws. I know we started working on this today with the a very simple song, Pinocchio, I've Got No Strings, and we put together a practice plan for you. It's a very short song. Right here it is, super short. There it is. It's only what 26, 7, 8, 28 measures long for your life. And we were started with the smiley game, and that kind of didn't work for a bit. So we started doing other things, and through the practice, through the teaching of you, what I realized is that we needed to, divide this up because when I first asked you at the beginning of the lesson today, you said, well, there's this and this and this and this, and you were just kind of all over the place. And the reason why I started using, I began this practice plan because I was asked by a student's parents to put something together, and the reason is because there are there's so many things happening in the piece that the student and the parent just doesn't know where they're going, doesn't know what's improving, what's not improving. So when we divide things out into different tasks right here, 3 times per parameter, and then looking right here, we added into our column, we have now 6 columns. We have no squeaks, which is the tone. Then we have tempo, which includes timing and pulse, which includes timing and tempo. We have the rhythm, the articulation, which is the general bowing and fingerings, the dynamics, which is mainly tied to bow management and bow distribution, and then we have the intonation, which is the shifts and intervals between the notes. Which, by the way, intonation is a dynamic process that changes when it's just or Pythagorean. And then, as you see right here, throughout the 28 measures, we have different priorities. It's not the same each time. If you're looking at the end, dynamics makes an appearance on this piece because at the end of this piece, we have the really only big crescendo with accents. And so that becomes more prioritized in that sense. And, me as your teacher, I've been able to put this together for you. And it was really nice because we had Mr. Kung Fu back there. You see, walking around.
Yeah.
He signed off on your performance today, and that's really good stuff. Because and I think you can look at this now and say, okay, I have a strong sense of at least 4 measures. But you also started today on the hardest part, and you failed and failed and failed, and I asked you to stop doing that because I think we need to always be constructively compiling our confidence. That's a lot of C's in there. Constructively compiling our confidence. I talk about this all the time with you guys. I talk about positive emotional impacts. And wherever you are in your journey with this instrument, you want to always leave the instrument, your practice session, your playing session, with a positive emotional imprint. That's what I say, positive emotional imprint. And so, yes, we need people to objectively judge us like we had here today from the FX, but we also need to be understanding that we are still very much in this cross section between analysis or execution and also being sort of emotional and also being free to emotional and expressive. And it is a cross section here, and how we go in between those two parts, it is a process. There are technical things about music that we come together with, but at the end we need to understand that we are going to be in a cross section. It's not fully defined, this and that. And yeah, you sometimes have people online or in your life who are like, they're just not impressed. A good example is, can you objectively judge someone? Sometimes you can, concerning different parameters, right? You can objectively judge, but sometimes at the end, music is also very much subjective, not objective. And I relate this to wine tasting. Wine tasting, wine is usually, it's subjectively either good or bad, sweet or not, dry or not, brut or whatever. And so you can objectively judge wine, but then if it has too much odor or less, but then you get to the point like it has too much odor and less odor. And then you could take the same bottles of wine, give it to the same judges at different competitions over a period of time, and they will judge the exact same bottles of wine differently because their mood and their subjectivity change throughout the day. So I think by putting together something more objective, more standard, more concrete, and able to look at this, keep track of, okay, I worked on this, because, like we discussed earlier, we will always be able to find the flaw in anything. And we talked about earlier also about, is music a race? If you think about finding the flaw, you have the one person, let's say in Tour de France, we have the one guy that's yellow jersey that wins, a section. But they have all the second, third, fourth, and everyone else. Are all of them losers? Are all of them at a loss if it's over a series of races? And so we super analyze everything that you do when you're second place, and yeah, we do find those flaws. But first place, like, we really don't think about it. Like, they could have made many flaws in first place, but it's the second place and third place. So is it all or nothing? Is it honestly a race? Is everything else, if it isn't everything, all the parameters aren't met during your performance, and you overanalyze and you are finding those flaws, is it leaving you with a positive emotional imprint? Why are you doing this? These are questions to be asked, And so you have experience in this world of bicycling. What happens when a person comes in second? And is it truly a loss when a person comes in second in a race? And how would you relate that to
Well,
Cello?
just looking at this event that happened in Nanop, there were 1,500 people participating. Only one's going to win the thing. And even when you break it up into categories of age groups, and you say, well, okay, from 40 to 45-year-olds, 46 to 50-year-olds, etc. Look, if you're not one of the top three, oh man, you're a loser. Well, I don't think so. I think through the event, everybody got something positive out of it just by participating. You made it to the end, you finished. You didn't just show up on the day and go 125K with 3,300 meters of climbing or 3,800 meters of climbing. That's a big day. That's a very big day on gravel. It's not on bitumen even. So but the thing that I've learned from coaching with the skating, roller derby, and this and that, there's always an absolute beginner, and a beginner looks at somebody doing even what now a lot of experience looks kind of basic. They look to that person with sort of a basic skill as, wow, I wish I could do that. So it's hard for you to subjectively look at yourself that way. There are things that I'm doing with this instrument now that people starting out wish they could do as well as I do. They would really love to be able to. I'm not 100% sure what those things are, but I know I've come a long way from when I first started. And I know where I would like to be better as well. So look, man, you're always working on this stuff.
What is that adage that you always say? What is the adage that you always say about you always have this adage?
Oh, well, people say that, do you know how old I'll be before I get good at that? And it's like, you'll be the same age if you don't even try. So, but if you try and you work at it, when you're that age, you'll be doing it, right?